afternoon, friends. It's a fine June afternoon and we have a Squier Strat on the bench, a Korean made one, bit tatty looking. It's obviously had a strap taped on there with gaffer tape at some point. I already know this needs a fret level because I've been over the frets. There's not a great load of meat on there, but there is enough just to recrown, to level them and recrown them. Area 3, if you listen, that's because there's a deep groove, a deep cut in that fret there, like it's been hit with something sharp. So we're going to level right down to there to get rid of that. Otherwise, we may be looking at a refret. I've told him we're not going to need a refret. We're going to go with a fret level. So I'm going to do a fret level. We're going to stop that pinging. So it's a matter of strings off, nut out, blah 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 blah. Let me just talk about the upgrades on this. This, I believe, has Curtis Novak. He says Curtis Novak Electrics. Does he mean pickups? But anyway, that's what he says. Curtis Novak Electrics all in there. Standard tuners. It does have a serial number, an S1002038. It quite clearly says on there, made in Korea. It's got a lot of weight to it. Very heavy guitar, this. I've not plugged it in, not played it. I'm going to do so in a second. And once that's done, I'm going to whip the strings off. It's got 1046s on it. We're going to take the strings off. We're going to look at the frets. We're going to get the frets leveled. We're going to give it a setup because these, look at the saddles here. They're all over the place. So we're going to straighten all that and get all that set up right. Get a proper setup on the guitar. And we're going to do it justice. I don't know about getting this gaffer tape residue off. I've not been asked to get rid of that, so I'm going to leave it all on as it is. It can go back as it is. At the end of the day, it's all about the playability. So then we get a couple of tweaks, then we get plugged in, check everything, make sure the electrics are working all right. Once I know they're working all right, we're going to get the strings off. Then I will bring you back in. We'll get the next set straight and we'll have a go at leveling these frets. But what I would need to do before that is show you why they need leveling. I will do that in a short while. So the nut on this guitar does not want to move. So rather than mess it up and mess the area up and cut the nut out, we're going to leave the nut on. And what I do in these circumstances is I build a ramp, and I built a ramp. And here's one I use for all of these jobs, and it just, the ramp just builds up, it just goes slightly above the nut. And what we're going to do is we'll take that to the last fret, and we are going to level the frets up to there, and when we get towards the nut it's going to lift up. Now we need to be careful that when that lifts up it doesn't scrape into these lower. So what we're doing is virtually when we get a centimetre past this fret, we're going to stop filing. So to enable me to do a better, more precise job, I have two levelling beams. And that's the one I'd normally use, my one from Crimson Guitars, heavy duty, but I'm not. I'm going to use my GMI one today, which is not as heavy duty. It's a lot thinner, it's a lot lighter, it's made of aluminium. And this is the one I'm going to use. And this has 2 grits of paper on as well. And all we're going to do, I'm going to use this one, but I'm going to just follow it, and I'm going to stop short of hitting the nut, so we don't lift this at all, and we're still hitting all of the frets. And that way we are going to get a level. You see how that works? Leveling all of the frets in one fell swoop. And I won't stop until all the grooves are gone. Now I can, if I really want to, I can still use the one with 240 grit on, the heavy duty one. And I'm just going to stop. You see, I'm just going to there. And we're following the radius. I can still level with the nut in place, we're not whacking into the nut. I dare say I could do this without that being on there, but people watch my videos and I've in the past hit a nut and people go, oh, you should take the nuts off, and you're absolutely right, I should remove the nut, but to make the job a lot quicker and easier if I don't remove the nut on this one, and less expensive, which we all like. what I'm going to do is, I've still got a deep groove in that one there, and I've still got that deep groove there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. For a short while, just to do it by hand. I'm going to hold my thumb there, and if I whack into that, I'm going to whack my thumb, not the nut. And this way, I'm still working all the frets. So it's going to take a bit longer. Look how much better that is. We've still got that little nick just there, so I need to remove that again. I'm just going to do it like this, but I'm going to be careful, so this means it's going to be slower. Slightly tapping that nut, but I'm not hitting it too hard, so that's okay. Just looking for that smoothness of frets. Might be not. I might have to remove this fret, you know. Now we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Just got to be patient. So you can see we're removing a lot of material because you can see all the dust. I'm going to brush that all away and check, see where we are. And this is great, all these grooves are just about gone. We've still got one there, that one that was catching there is just about gone. So we are getting there. This is good. Still going with the 240 grit, the most coarse for grits. I'm going to keep my thumb there, this is better for me. This works. Maintaining that radius by overlapping this side to match the radius up at the body end where the neck's wider. Just about be there. That bit that's catching there is now gone. It's got a tiny bit of a groove there, so I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to stick this back on because we're more or less done, so this is just precautionary now. Again, 240 grit. And now we're level. Just going to check the frets are level. I did have a high one here and a high one down here. I do have a fret rocker, so what have I done with it? There you go, that high fret sorted. Oh, not high fret sorted. So we are level, more or less. I will check the level again in a moment. Let's just grab a marker. This is a non-permanent marker, so we can just lighten, just put some on the frets there, like so. Still some slightly grooved areas here on these frets at this end. Should we refret? No, I think this level's going to be fine. Why spend 240 when you can spend 140? But I will go across with 240 again, just because we have some deep grooves in these frets just here. Now, it won't take a lot to remove them. So again, watching where I'm going with the leveler. If I do tap the nut, I'm not going to be worried. I'm not going hard. Certainly not hard enough to unseat the nut. Now I can give it a little bit more now I've got my thumb in the way. So if I'm going to damage anything, I'm going to damage my thumb. This is how I would normally do it. If the nut wasn't there, I'd be giving it all this vigorous action all the way. And there you go, where all the grooves are gone. The frets are now all level. We still have just enough meat to recrown the frets. Only just mind. I did one of these at Christmas time where I went really, the frets were really low and I was umming and ahhing if I'd got enough material to recrown. I've just got enough, and I think pretty much the same here. What we are going to do though while the camera is running is I'm just going to grab a depth tool so I can just measure how much fret we have. There's a lovely new caliper, digital caliper from MIK. The reason I bought the MIK one, even there's nothing wrong with the other one, but the reason I bought the MIK one is it has a depth gauge on it. I'm going to turn it on and we are going to try and remember how to set the depth gauge. And it's this type of affair. I can remember how to work it. So, how do we work? That's right, we'll put it here. We set it to 0. Then we stick it over the fret and we measure. 1.02. How's that? That's fabulous. Let's get back to 0. So I get back to 0 by, there you go. Like so. So that's 0, and we're going to measure this side. Okay. That side, 0.94. Anything less than 0.8, I wouldn't be able to crown it. So a little bit lower that side, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. Again, let's zero it out. All at 0. Just measure it in the middle. 1.01. So that's how we know we've got the enough height. 0 by that, turn it off, job's a good one. We have enough fret material there for recrowning, so that's absolutely fine. So we are going to get the fingerboard taped up. I'm going to recrown these frets. I'm just going to make sure that they are level. far so good. Frets are level, knot is intact. I'm going to remove the neck for crowning, I think. Otherwise I'm going to have to work over the body. I don't want to do that. There are much easier ways. I'm going to bolt this to a piece of MDF. And the MDF is going to act as a substitute body. Looks absolutely fine. We are done. So ready to recrown. Need to tape up fingerboard. Once that's done, I can bring you back in and we can start crowning these frets. Okay, so I'm trying some new lights out in the workshop because it got quite dark. And what was that of these? Could be an LED lamp. It's supposed to be a lot brighter than regular light bulbs, and they are. And it's kind of a cool light. It's all kind of dim, but it's enough light to work in. So it's a weird looking contraption. The old Bayonet B22 type. They're about £7 each, these are, and that's how they work. And I've just stuck one in because my regular 100-watt bulb was nowhere near good enough. I bought 30 bulbs off Amazon. First one lasted a day. Old type Bayonet bulbs, rubbish. But the 200-watt bulbs I bought were even worse from eBay. They 200-watt, they lasted about, you're lucky if you got a day out of them. They were £1 each. Rubbish. But anyway, moving on. Frets are level. I've marked them all with a black marker and we are going to recrown them. By recrown I mean rebuild that crown going that way, because I want just a small part of the fret to touch the string. So where I've levelled these, we've gone flat in that direction and we're going to rebuild that crown. Now in the old days we'd use a 3-corner file, but in these days we use a MIK Z file. Closest to you is a short steep cut, and furthest away is a narrow low cut. So it's, and turn it over, opposite, long cut next to you, short cut next to me. What this will do is it'll cut long one side and short on another, and you flip it over, it does a complete opposite, but what it won't do is it will not touch the top of a fret. So that will rebuild the crown and leave us a nice thin line down the middle, and it's best to show you that it is to try and explain. So taking the file, it's a diamond file, £120 this cost me, worth every penny. I've had it here and off. I've already got a spare, I've got a spare one in the drawer and I've never had to use it yet. There you go, just a few strokes over there. Flip it over. You see there? Thin black line right down the centre. That's rebuilt the crown. That thin line is where the string hits, just that thin bit at the top. What we're going to do is we're going to take another diamond file, different one. This has got the concave cut in there, and this just to round everything off and remove any inconsistencies. Just to reprofile everything. And that is one fret profiled. The great thing about leaving that black line down the centre means we've not removed any height. So we know that's crowned, we know it's ready, and we're going to move on to the next one. And what I like to do is I like to clean the file every time we do a fret, because you always get that look. And same again. Clean your file. Same with this one. Two done, just to check that we've not lost any height. And there you go, fantastic, no rock anywhere. And that's it, absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to crack on, get the rest of these done. Once that's done, I'm going to leave it for the night. We are drawing toward 9 o'clock, 20 to 9. Going to get these done. Once it's done, I'm going to pack up, going to come back and get on with this tomorrow. Moving on to polishing the frets, and standard as usual, take some 400 grit. This is a much thicker paper than you normally use, and this will remove the deeper of the scratches on the frets straight across there. I'm also removing that nice thin ink line across the top. And once we're finished with this, I'm going to go through with 6 grits from 600 through to 2000 grit. So 6 grits there, going finer, and removing scratches and bringing it up, bringing the frets up to a lovely shine. We'll finish off with finest grade steel wool. And these frets will be scratch free, super shiny and pristine, and we'll maintain the level by keeping that black line on the top of each fret down the centre, so we know that's going to be absolutely fine. We've managed to keep the original nut in there, and it'll just be a case of once these are all polished up, we can get the neck back on and we can get the guitar set up and get it ready to move out. So frets are all polished up. Now, absolutely stunning. Went with the 7 grits of paper, 400 through 2000. Blah, 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 blah. Finished off with the superfine steel wool, and I'm just about to peel off the tape and expose the frets. So we polish not just to get them shiny, but we polish them to remove all the scratches after levelling. And it'll be like I'm playing a new neck. It gives it a new lease of life. We always have to check we have enough height left on the frets to be able to level and recrown them after, because if you're not high enough, you're not able to recrown them. I was able to measure the height of the frets, which is I think the lowest area, the lowest part of any of the frets was about 0.9 millimeters, which is enough. Once you get to 0.8 millimeters and any lower than that, you're really looking at a refret, because you're not going to be able to profile frets that low. My cut-off point is 0.8 millimeters. So I'm just peeling off this tape, so a little bit boring for you guys, because the camera is on me, not on the guitar. But yeah, these frets look stunning. You just got to bear with me a few seconds while I peel off the tape. And yeah, fabulous. A few more seconds, guys. Thank you for your patience. And my goodness. Oh yes, look at those frets. They are stunning. They look absolutely wonderful. So right, I'm going to get this back on the guitar, get some strings on, get it set up, and we can get it out the door. How's that? So we are getting to the exciting stage, and we've got strings on and we are setting the guitar up. So strings on. I've got the neck set dead straight with a truss rod just nipped. I always find that if you've got the neck dead straight with the truss rod just nipped, once you put the strings on, it'll pull the right amount of relief in the neck. So we're going to leave the neck as it is. I've just set the 2 outside strings, the high E and the low E, to where I want them on the 12th fret. So we've got 1.5 millimeters gap on the high E, 1.75 on the bass, and we're going to set the radius of the strings on the bridge. So we're going to take a 9.5 inch radius gauge, like so. We're going to place it under the strings. We've got 2 outside ones where they need to be. All being well, I've got the middle 4 strings higher than they need to be. Yes, much higher than they need to be. So the 2 outside strings set, all we need to do is drop each string onto this radius gauge. We'll have a radius set, then we can bring the strings to pitch, and everything will be set. So bear with me while I do this. I'm going to drop each string onto the top of the radius gauge. We know the 2 outside ones are fine. So I'm going to drop everything onto here. Pretty good there. It'll take me a short while, we'll keep the camera running. I'm not bothered about the saddles being level yet. We'll level them off once I've got the strings at the right height. I've not checked the intonation yet, we'll do that in a minute. There you go, I'm satisfied that all the strings are exactly where they need to be. So we have the radius set. What I'm going to do now is we're going to set the saddles dead straight. Like for instance, we're a bit lower on this side, so I'm going to drop it quarter of a turn on this side and raise it quarter of a turn on that side. And that brings it level, and we've maintained the height. We'll do the same again. This one, just a tiny bit. That's looking pretty good. I like these level. We'll do a quarter of a turn up on that side, quarter of a turn down on this side. Some of this will just here, just a little adjust there. And I think we're pretty much set. If I stick the radius gauge back underneath, have a look. And there you go, we have the string set, so we have the radius matching the radius of the neck, 9.5 inches. That's fantastic, so we're going to look at the intonation now. So we're going to bring everything to pitch. We won't be using the tremolo. Yeah, no, it just says no, just set it, hard tone, which is brilliant for me because it's really easy to do that. So we're tuned to pitch. I've got to stretch the strings in yet, but we're just going to check the amount of relief under the 7th fret. I'll be looking for 1/4 millimetre, 0.25 mil. Do I have a feeler gauge out anywhere? There's one missing out of my drawer. Oh, there's one knocking about somewhere, but I don't know where, so we'll use this one. I do have two, fortunately. Ah, here it is. So okay, let's have a look. 0.25 millimetres under the 7th fret. And there you go. That's perfect. So all I really need to do here is just stretch the strings in. We're going to check the intonation first. We are definitely flat. Need to move the saddle away toward the neck, because flat we move it left as I look at it, sharp we move it right, flat and left are 4 letters, sharp and right are 5 letters. These are little flats, so same again, just move it away, move it to the left. B is a little bit flat again, to the left. That's the intonation set. So all I need to do now is stretch the strings in, which I'm going to do off camera in a moment. Once I stretch the strings in, we're going to come back and we're going to check the nut height above the first fret, and that is the last thing we are going to do. Just before I move on to that, let's just check the radius again at the bridge, because it may have altered slightly. No, I'm happy with that. That's fantastic. So I'm really happy with that, so that's great. So I'm going to stretch the strings in. Once that's done, we'll come back and look at the height of the strings above the first fret. If we need to alter anything, we'll cut the nut slots, and then the guitar will be done. Here we are, all done, and what a wonderful guitar this is. And do not be put off by its name, and do not be put off by the state of the body with the tape residue all over there. This is a stunning guitar. Fantastic upgraded pickups in there, Curtis, whatever they are, can't remember now. Slipped my mind. But yeah, what a fabulous looking guitar, a fabulous guitar this is. So it has, I will find out what pickups they are, because it's a bit lazy and a bit rude of me not to. Okay, so bear with me a second and I will tell you. Curtis Novak pickups in there. We have the tremolo is hard-tailed. Some lovely pickups in there. The guitar plays fantastic. It is at a complete fret level setup. Now, I did knock a chunk of headstock material out when I tried to remove the nut. It does happen. It is one of the pitfalls and one of the possible things that can go wrong. I've glued it back in. You can hardly tell, which is standard. So I kept the original nut on there. But the frets are absolutely stunning. The electrics and the pickups in here are stunning. So what a stunning guitar. Never ever be put off by the name Squier, because if you do upgrade, you get some good pickups in there, and you make sure that the frets are level, you will have a stunning guitar. Nothing wrong with this at all. This is even better with it being a Korean made Squier. Don't know what year it's from, but yeah, stunning. Great looking thing. I do know that this is the owner's favourite guitar, or favourite electric. He sent me his two favourite guitars to work on. One thing I've not done is I've not cut the nut slots. I've not had to. They are low enough above that first fret, so I'm really happy with that. Stays in fine tune. And what a lovely guitar, and it is all done. This cost him £125. That's a complete fret level, reprofile, polish, and a complete setup. I think that is a very, very fair price. I've not plugged it in to play it yet myself. I might do in a moment. I know these pickups are going to sound great, but all the electrics are fine, everything is fine. So this one, I'm going to put it away, ready to go back to its owner with his other guitar. He'll be as pleased as punch. I think the guy lives in Anglesey, or certainly lives somewhere in Wales. A good thing about this guy is his mum lives half a mile away, and she's on my route, my Royal Mail route. I actually deliver to her house, so I'm going to drop these guitars off for him. He's going to drop them off at his mum's. So that is going to work wonders for him as well. So that's it. So one thing left for me to do before I go, that is remind you of my website, or websites, fretfriend.co.uk. You'll get more information on Facebook there, so facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I am Victor. I am your Fret Friend. Until next time, as always, God bless you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you in the next one.